Sup shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reviews where today we have ourselves a track by an act named Christian Stutzig titled Big Sister, and if we switch over to here we have ourselves a track on the screen. This is the latest track from them as I understand it. We've got songwriting idea by Christian, arranged by Gabriel, alert, vocals by Diana, mixing and mastering by Diana and Christian, and then video edited by Christian. I reviewed a fair bit of Christian's work. Typically I'm fairly happy with it. There's occasionally some things that I'm like, oh, we could have done this differently or whatever, but for the most part I like the continuous growth that I've heard in Christian's music. So without further ado, we're going to listen through this track from start till finish. I'm going to hear what we think. Let's go, let's do it. Big Sister. I like the didn't really get a chance to talk, did I? No filler. So let's just pause for a moment. I'm not gonna try and interrupt too much. I just want a chance to talk about it before we continue, because I don't have a feeling we're going to have a lot of chances to pause. And it's not a bad thing. I like the combination of the guitars, bass, and drums. I think the vocals are well done with solid vocal technique there, and I think that the story is engaging. I don't really have any complaints about it so far. It's just it's a good start. I think the vocal harmonies are beautiful. I'm not sure what we're saying there. Through my first what? That's not a criticism, that's just simply me unsure of what's being said here, but you get the feeling these people are incredibly close, you know? Got an 80s feel to it with the chorusy guitars, euphoric pianos and keys. I mean, like, we have solid vocal technique, like with the vibrato and such. Even if I'm not getting all the words, I'm still enjoying the performance nonetheless. And I think the combination of the really tight guitar and bass performance, just like the tone on that bass guitar is scrumptious, dude. It's delicious. I like the leveling of the studio production as well. I think the consistency there, the quality is it's really neat. It's interesting, like, how do I describe the tone of the track? Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. How do I describe the tone of the track? Because to me it's like largely positive. I appreciate the effort that's gone into it. I think this is one of the better tracks from Christian that I've heard. There's still some, like, I like his Christmas tunes that he's made. We're going to talk about that in the conclusion. because this is my conclusion, my review of this track from Christian Stutzig, titled Big Sister. I mean, what do I think this track is about? I think it's someone showing a lot of love for their big sister. As I understand, it was at Diana on the vocals there. So Diana was basically telling the story there about how she really appreciates her big sister, and I think that that's a beautiful thing to write a song about, to show love for your family members. I do not have a sister myself personally, so I can't necessarily relate to it, and I don't get along with my little brother very much, but at the same time, I would love to be able to do so. So good on him, it's fantastic. And I doubt that their relationship's perfect either. No relationship is. But yeah, beautiful story that's told there, very sincere sounding. I didn't get all the words clearly, but the ones I got gave me an idea of what the song was about. In regards to the vocal performance, the vocal technique is great. I liked the way the hidden chest voice worked there. There were some interesting vibrato passages, and the harmonies when they came in with the overdubs worked really well. There was just some hard consonants, like we had a little bit too much smoothness to the way we were singing some words there. And like, I'm not like an expert on singing, so feel free to completely invalidate my opinion about this, but my understanding is basically if we can just get a little bit more like attack, I suppose, on some of those harder consonants, because the vowel sounds are coming through. It's just that enunciation, it's just getting like so instead of like kind of more kind of force behind certain vowel sounds and everything like that to try and get the words to sound a bit clearer. But anyways, it's fine. It's that's just my 2 cents on that. If I had heard all the words clearly with more definition to how they were sung, I think it would have allowed me to hear all the story. But I said, that I enjoyed the vocal performance regardless, so it's fine. It's just input. I think that the outside of the vocal performance and how I think it did match the tone. Like the singer sounded like they genuinely cared about the sister. They sold it. The track is 3 minutes, and I think that's the wonderful little sweet spot between that 2 to 4 minute mark there, where it's not too short to tell a story, but it's also not too long to lose the listener's attention. And we really have to be careful about the listener's attention, because in this day and age, we just cannot assume that we are entitled to it. We really need to make sure that when we are making a song, that it is making the most of the time the person's giving to us, and I think that's really important. So if they're doing that, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And I think in addition to that, we just have a really lovely situation here where the theme with the guitars, the bass, the drums, the pianos, etc., the way it was arranged and composed was tremendous. I'm thoroughly stoked with how the different elements were put together. I think that the verse parts are compelling with almost their uncertainty of which direction tonally they want to go in. It's very neutral, but then there's some interesting sus parts with their chords, as well as maybe some like hints at major triads where we might be sad that we're not with our sister right now, but we appreciate them being in our life and we appreciate the good times we've had. It allows the listener to kind of form the image in their own head. And then there's an interesting turn at the end of the chorus line there. We almost miss our sister and we repeat it twice, but then we go into a happy mode. So I assume that means we do get to be with them again, which I think is beautiful. So I think that that's a charming little take on it. Really well done. And I think that there's a lot of love shown within the theme itself, from the bright sort of like arpeggios and kind of glistening chorusy sort of guitar parts and the verses and choruses to a little more oomph there in the hooks. And with the bass line being nice and filling up that low end there with really respectable root note harmonies or melodies. The drums there with a great tone to them. We had some like a great push forward without overplaying or pocket. We pocketed on the kit, and that was an important thing to do because the drum solo maybe just wouldn't have suited this very well. I think this track was short enough to not really need any sort of like replacement lead sections, but we did have parts where the piano came in and we kind of had a break from the singer for like a half step or whatever, and that was good. That was still refreshing, and that was great use of time there. I think there was an awkward transition in like the first half of the song between like the intro mood to the verse mood, and I say that simply because my brain was surprised of the fact that we went into like slightly heavier sounding guitars at that halfway point without being able to ascertain or figure out why that was. I might have to have another listen through it to really sort of like double check that. So if you listen to it and you're like, what is he talking about? Well, there you go. That's just what it is, and I'll take the L on that one. But the theme itself, I think overall it sounded grateful. It seemed like we had a lot of feelings about this person and we're still trying to work through them, but we're nonetheless grateful for having our sister in our life from the point of being in the womb to after that. And maybe it's like a twin sister or something like that, but it's his big sister. That's interesting. But anyways, we basically have a theme that makes sense, an instrumental performance that's thoroughly competent, with the piano articulated in its mid to higher ranges there and making it all sparkly and kind of pretty sounding. The vocals make sense with the story, and the story makes sense with the theme, and the instrumental performance was tight. So there aren't really any weaknesses with that one apart from the word clarity I was talking about earlier. And even then, it's okay. But I mean, talking about the recording, mixing, mastering, the studio production, I'm very happy with how that came across. I think that things were really nicely balanced in the mix. I think there was a great sort of like presence of the vocals, a lot with especially with the double tracking. The guitar, bass, and drums are balanced really well in the frequency spectrum and the stereo field, and the leveling in general was good, with no resonant frequencies or any sort of points of confusion there. There was dynamic range to it. I could tell they were pushing the limiter a little bit with how loud some parts got, simply because it sounded like things were being a little tiny bit squashed there, but I think it was enough for it to be thoroughly reasonable. And it kind of sounds like they were mixing it to be a bit louder, and that's fine. I'm sure this is probably done to 14 LUFS, negative 14 LUFS. That's usually like the standard nowadays, and it just depends on what you do within the mix and master buses to get it as tight with a nose, so as to how your negative 14 sounds in the final bounce. But that's okay. Basically, I think that there were changes in energy levels, so there was dynamic range to it. Things kind of sped up and slowed down, so there was change there, and that was appreciated. Nothing was copy and pasted. There was a lot of variety in the composition, so that was good, as I mentioned before. And then it's just that it was nice and loud without pumping too much. It was a good song. I'm really happy I got the opportunity to review it, because this is my review of this track by Christian Stutzig titled Big Sister. Hopefully you enjoy it. If you did, please do go show us some love via their various social medias and the YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe. And please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spider Hands out.